All right. I'm not Richard, but he normally does our intros for us. But since I know our guest tonight as well as I do, I figured I'd introduce him. We've got Robert Swain with us tonight. He's found your, I believe, founder of the A.P.E.S.
Mhm.
That's what
Yeah.
Arkansas Primate.
Primate Evidence Society.
That's
Yeah.
why I was thinking I was remembering right.
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 Right. We're big hairy apes in the woods looking for big hairy apes. So
There you go.
Then you also started up the Arkansas Bigfoot conference as well.
yeah,
I remember
yeah.
right.
In 2014 was the first year we had that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
So I'll let you tell about your stuff and get into it. I think Craig's got some questions and all that, and I'll see if anybody pops up on Podbean and asks some questions as well.
Okay.
So
All right. Well, thank you, Sean. You were nicer than I thought you were going to be. So that's pretty nice.
scary, huh?
uh, my name is Robert Swain, and I live in Valonia, Arkansas. In the real world, I am a minister of the gospel. I preach at the Woodrow Church of Christ and serve as one of their elders there at the little congregation, and keeps me busy. And I have been interested in Bigfoot practically all my life. I've always been interested in big hairy monkeys before I even knew there was a Bigfoot. I was a all when I was a little bitty, I was all about King Kong. So it was always big hairy monkeys. So uh, and I started. I my very first thing that I can actually say that was Bigfoot investigation related. I had in high school here at Valonia. I had a paper to write, and I had to interview three people for the paper, and you could select your own topic. And so I selected Bigfoot.
Oh wow.
I interviewed two local people that had claimed to have seen something, and I finally found him, and I called him, and I called Smokey Crabtree down at Falk,
Oh
and
wow.
I talked to him for about an hour. He was very gracious, and he had that little high pitched squeaky voice. And he said, "If you ever have a chance, come on down to Falk, and I'll show you where all these things happened, and we'll have a good old time." And so that spring break, I loaded everything up, my camping stuff, and I was going to go down to Falk, Arkansas, and do some Bigfoot investigations. And went and met Smokey, and he drove me around all these places that were in the movie, and then I asked him, Mr. Crabtree, if uh, if you wanted to see one of these things, where would you camp? And he said, if I was wanting to see one of these things, I'd camp right over there. And I took him home and thanked him again, and then I went and set up right where he pointed. And that night, it was down in Mercer Bayou. That that night was so loud. All of those animals and crickets and frogs and some big splashes going on out in. Man, I was laying in my little pup tent with a knife in one hand and a flashlight in the other. I was all by myself. And
Oh wow.
but really, the scary part was when all that noise just automatically just stopped, and it got just
Oh.
real quiet. And then a couple of minutes later, it would pick back up again until it was almost deafening. And then 20 minutes later, it would stop. And uh, finally, I just said, this Bigfoot research stuff is not for me. I can't do this. So I left my tent, left everything right where it was, and I drove back into Falcon and slept under the brightest light I could find in Falcon. I slept in my truck.
Oh wow.
And uh, I went back the next day. My tent was still there. All my stuff was still there, but my little ice chest, I couldn't find it. And I found the ice chest about 50 feet away from my camp, and it was sitting up straight, and the lid was closed. And I went over there, and I thought it felt kind of light, and I opened it up, and all of my meat and cheese and all of that stuff was gone out of that ice chest. Only
Wow.
only 2 cans of I think it was a Mountain Dew were still left in there, and that everything else was gone. And I started looking around for wrappers, but there were no wrappers on the ground. You know, if it was a raccoon or something like that, it would have just tore into it and ate, and you'd have seen the trash. There was nothing. There was nothing. And so, did something come in and take all of that? I don't know. I don't know. But I decided then that this research stuff was not for me. And I became an armchair squatcher where I would watch all the shows, I would read the books and all, but I wasn't going to go out. I wasn't going to go out in the woods. Um, Life got on, and that I was in high school then. But when I was married and my son was about 6 years old, we went on a father-son camp out below Helena in that wildlife uh, area right there, and he wanted to go to Alligator Lake. And when we got there, I was disappointed that the beaver dam had broke and there wasn't even a lake there. And he was upset because there were no alligators there. He wanted to see the alligators. But that night, when he was asleep, and about 2 in the morning, I laid there in the tent and heard rocks being clacked together, like rocks the size of a softball or a cantaloupe being clacked together. It was so loud you could hear the echo of the clack.
Wow.
And for about 30 minutes, and I was laying there, says, who's doing that? Because we had driven around just before we went to bed, and there was nobody else down there. There was nobody. In fact, out of 3 days, we saw one person, and it was the game warden that came driving through the last day we were there. And so, who's picking these rocks up? And then I started thinking, well, whoever it is, it's got to have hands to do that, to pick them
Well,
up and
yeah.
strike them together. The next day we were driving around, and I was thinking about that, and something that I didn't even really notice was when we drove in, there were 3 piles of where a dump truck had dropped big rocks. They were going to repair the levee road there at the Mississippi River. And so they were going to repair that with those rocks. And I said, well, there are some rocks there. Didn't even think about looking for footprints. Didn't even think. And so I was thinking, I got to thinking, something is out there. Something is out there. And I decided to throw my hat back into the ring. And my son Jamie became my first research partner for a while. I just called him Bigfoot bait. And uh, we organize apes here in Central Arkansas. It's a small group, and we pretty much all know each other. And when we have a chance to go out, we'll go out. It's just pretty loosely based and all, but it's a good thing. Um, I've had some near misses with these things. I've smelt that smell twice, where it was just so pungent, it made your eyes water, and I had those two experiences. We've cast footprints. Now I can walk right over footprints and not see them. But I've got some good friends that are trackers. Big Jim that you've maybe be getting on your show. He's a wonderful, great guy, and he
I've
is.
been trying to talk to him about coming on, and he's like, if I got time, I'll
Well,
try
he
to.
is. Yeah, he is an amazing tracker. And where I wouldn't see anything, he sees all kinds of things. And he doesn't look for footprints; he looks for leaf clutter disturbance. And
Right.
he does a great job.
He's the one
Um,
that I was telling you about that we found that track the last time me and Crystal went down to Falk. It's me, her, and
yeah,
Big Jim went out there, and that's where
yeah.
we found that track at.
Yeah, just about every time we go down to Falk, we'll either get audio or footprints. I'm not saying that we're any special or anything, but that is the hot spot in our state. It is the hot spot in Arkansas. And in my book, in Miller County, I think I have 136 sightings listed out of that one
Wow.
county. And I think the legend of Boggy Creek, I think that that really gave people some confidence to talk about this thing. And so maybe more people are talking about it there, but that's a great habitat. Those rivers converging there, and the
Right.
bayous and the swamps are there, and it's just a great habitat. And, but yeah, that's a really hot spot right there.
Now, you had a few exciting events that happened to y'all. Wasn't there an event where you was felt like you was encircled, surrounded?
Well, yeah, some of the places in that we do research, we've given nicknames, and there's a place called Deer Run, and it was a cold night, and me and Taylor and Frankie were there, and we'd built a fire, and we were real close to that fire because it was cold, and we had done some calls with our voices, and got a couple of responses, and I was excited about that. And then it got quiet, and we just were talking for a good while. And I just got the feeling, and I kept hearing something. And I said, guys, I think something's surrounding our camp, circling our camp. And about at the time I got that out of my mouth, 5 deer come running out of the bush
Oh wow!
straight towards us. And we were only like 3 or 4 feet apart with the fire in between us, and those deer were jumping over the fire. They just I'd never seen anything like that. And when they came out and they were running, they looked like wiener dogs. They were so close to the ground running. I'd never seen a deer do that before, but every one of them jumped. And bless his heart, it was Taylor's first time out. And I looked over, and he was standing in his chair. He didn't know what to do. And I jokingly say that I think I heard a little girl scream over where Frankie was sitting. But it scared me too. And so we call that place Deer Run. So, I think something we'd called something in, and there were deer there, and it was maybe trying to hunt one of those deer, but they would rather risk the fire and three burly guys out in the woods than whatever was in the woods behind them.
And
That's just
Taylor's one of them. He's always packing.
Oh
He's
yeah,
got a gun on him
he
at all
he and
times.
Frankie both. I don't have to pack. I do have a gun, but in fact, I've only reached for the gun one time, and that was when something tried to get in the car with me. I was sleeping. We had the Oklahoma Symposium, and everybody left, and my wife was gracious enough to let me stay another night and squatch a little bit. And we were down at Lee Creek, and it was cold and it was foggy. And me and another guy, and he was sleeping in his car about 300 feet away from me. And it was cold, and I wrapped up in a dark blanket, and I was behind the wheel, and I was asleep. And that just brief second where you're between being asleep and waking up, and you're just trying to figure out what's going on. Well, I woke up, and my car was rocking from side to side.
Oh
Uh, and,
wow!
and about the time I woke up and said, hey, thinking, hey, my car is rocking, I distinctively heard that the handle on the passenger side of my car fall back into place. Something had pulled it up and was trying to get in the car with me, and I had my doors locked, thank goodness. I always
Oh
wanted a
man!
siding, but I didn't want it in the same car I was in. you know
Wow,
and I
that
had
would be unnerving.
it really was. And I had my pistol. uh, I didn't have a pistol for a long time. I just took bear spray, but I really thought I needed something. And so I had a pistol on the dash, and when I leaned forward to reach for the pistol, you could when I moved inside, you could hear it run off, and it hit my rear view mirror on the passenger side so hard that it broke it. I had to have it replaced. It just
Wow!
practically knocked it off the car. And you could hear it run. It was a kind of a gravelly area, and you could hear it run on the gravel towards the creek into the fog. But I didn't sleep much after that, thinking
I
what
don't reckon
was happening.
so.
But it had watched other people opened doors before, and it knew that if it wiggled that thing right there, that door would come open, and that's where the cookies are, you know. And so it had watched and had learned, and it was trying to do that. And so that was pretty scary. That was the same area within about a half mile of where I had my first sighting, and it was just there was no skill involved at all. It was just dumb luck. I was driving down a road, and it was daylight, and it was on the right hand side, and there was a field there. There was no place really for it to hide, and the trees were on the left side. And so when it saw me, I always thought that, like Roger Patterson, he'd practice getting that camera out, and I always said, now if I ever saw something like this, I would hit the gas and get as close as I could to it, And so as soon as I saw it, I hit my brakes. Just naturally, I hit my brakes, and it bent over like a linebacker holding a football. Like a guy's gonna be tackled. He kind of bends over and it bent over, and it took one step, two step, and the third step he was on the edge of the road, and then he was gone into the trees,
Wow.
and had his hands up on his chest. And I don't know if he was trying to make himself look small, or maybe it had an infant, or maybe some food or whatever, but he had his hands close to its chest and bent over. And uh, I I just sat there for a few minutes trying, and of course the Rolodex in my head: was it a cow? Was it a horse? Was it a deer? Was it an elk? Was it a bear? Was it?
Right, right.
You just go through everything, and
Yes, you sure
it
do.
wasn't anything, except what it was. And so I didn't tell anybody, but the next day I told Big Jim, and we went back, and I stopped the car where I'd stopped it, and he was at the curve of the road where it was, and he was going to walk across. Now when I went up there, and after it had gone, it took 3 steps to get across. It took me 8 steps to get across the same road. It
Wow,
was
that
just
had
a
to be
big,
a 4 or 5 foot stride.
yeah. And so Jim was there on the left hand side, and I said, "Okay, go." And so Jim just um, walked, not bent over first time, and I realized that Big Jim, he's like 6'3", 6'4", and it was taller than him bent over while he was standing straight up. And
Oh, wow.
it was just really something. And we went up there, and of course he says, "Well, here's the footprint right here." And so not only did I get my first sighting, I got a souvenir from my first sighting, and I got it out. I was going to show you. This is the footprint from my first sighting.
Wow, that's
19 inches long. Here, I don't know. And the toe splay at the top is about a foot where the toes are. So
golly.
it's just a big, big animal there. And so uh, I, on the way home, I was going to tell my wife, and then I got to thinking, I'm a preacher. And and everybody knew I was interested in this, and they kid me and all that, but if I go back and say I saw something, either they're going to believe me or they're going to not believe me. And if they're not going to believe me, what else are they not going to believe? As I preach, my credibility may be hampered here. And so that night I was talking to Mikhail, and then I said, Mikhail, we can't tell anybody about this. As much as I want to, we can't do that because it might harm the church or harm my ministry preaching. And she said, okay, we won't say anything. The next weekend was the Arkansas Paranormal Convention at MacArthur Park. And I've been the Bigfoot guy there for many years, like 11 years now. And I did my spiel, and I always allow time for questions. And excuse me. And I said, are there any questions? First hand went up. Have you ever seen one of these? And now I'm in a dilemma. Do I lie to them or
Right.
do I tell the truth? Well, I'm a minister. I'm going to tell the truth. So I told the truth, and I said, yes. The second hand went up and said, would you tell us about it? And so I went from talking to my wife saying, we can't say anything about this to uh, all those people in that auditorium hearing about what happened to me. And little did I know that one of the people that was sitting in that audience was the reporter for the Arkansas Democrat Gazette doing an article on the
Oh,
symposium, and he led off his Sunday morning article with me telling about my sighting. So
wow.
you can't tell me God doesn't have a sense of humor because I went, don't tell anybody, and now the whole state knows.
Right, right.
And I was really nervous. I thought people, that it might really hurt me at church, and nobody said anything. And then a lot of people individually just caught me by myself and said, "Did you really see something?" I said, "Yes, I did," and that was good enough for them. All of that
Was
worry was for nothing.
right.
I appreciate it. That was my first sighting. I had a second sighting this year here in Valonia. I say it was in Valonia. It was on the south side of the bypass on Church Street. I was on my way to unlock the church on early one Sunday morning, and I was stopped at a stop sign waiting for a truck to go on the bypass. And I looked up, and there was this tall, skinny guy walked out of the trees and stepped over a ditch and walked towards me a few feet. This was a good distance away on the pavement, and then it stopped and it looked down in the ditch, and then it looked up in the trees and it stepped back over and it went back into the trees. I said, well, in all day I was thinking, well, that was a really weird guy. And then I had my son Jamie that afternoon. We reenacted it again, and it was about a foot taller than he is, and he's 6'2".
Yeah,
And
same
but
same
it
guy.
was a black silhouette, and it was really skinny. I was like a basketball player, and
Huh.
if you could imagine a silhouette of a basketball player with a hoodie on and have a point in the back of its hood, that's what it was like. And I
Wow.
saw it for a few seconds, and it went back into those trees, and I don't know what else it could have been. It was much taller than Jamie. He's 6'2", and so uh, I don't know. There's not 7 foot black basketball players running around in Valonia, so
Right,
yeah,
right.
this doesn't happen. So I could possibly say I've had two sightings. The first one for sure. I mean, it could not have been any better sighting than that. And but the second one, it was a distance, but it couldn't have been anything else. So
Was there any time that you felt like you was in danger out in the woods or
oh yeah, well of course something getting in my car, but
well, yeah.
I've had just one or two or three of those feelings where he said, "Boy, I don't need to be here. I don't need to be here at this place right now. I need to leave now."
That's kind of how I
Not
felt
anything,
sometimes.
nothing, no sounds, nothing that I saw, but just that feeling that, boy, this is not the right place for me, and I've had that before. So
Yeah, we me and Sean encountered that back over in the mountains where I grew up at and had all my sightings. We encountered that out on the mountain one day when we went out
mm,
there.
yeah,
We got to the feeling it's like, yeah, I think it's about time for us to turn around and go back the way we came.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, could I say that was Bigfoot? No, I can't say that, but I've been out in the woods bukus of times, and it's only happened just one or two or three times. So
It's kind of like that experience. That got not only you helping me get into it, but the experience I had at my grandparents' place. I hadn't experienced. I lived there my whole life and never experienced anything like
yeah,
that. My
yeah,
grandmother was like, I don't have a clue what that is. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and I,
When you heard it,
yeah,
you mean yeah, when you were hearing it, yeah, yeah,
when we heard it make that call or whatever, it's like I grew up out in them woods. I've never
yeah,
experienced anything like that. And she looked at me and goes, "What was that?" I'm like, "If you don't know, I don't know either."
yeah, yeah. How many people say I've been hunting all my life and I've not seen anything? There's nothing out there. All it takes is one time. They may have never seen anything, but I bet those things have seen them.
Oh, I guarantee you, my sightings that I had back when I was younger, I mean, it was just unreal at that time. Um, I would love to see it again, but I really think these things only, when they're ready for you to see them, they will show themselves.
Yeah, yeah. Very seldom, you're not going to sneak up on one in the woods.
Right.
You can't go Rambo on them and chase them down. Uh, you know, I, in my book, I have 1,100 sightings in Arkansas in my book, starting in
Wow.
1836 to 2015, and I just cut it off at 2015. And I did it all chronological, and then I took all of those sightings and I crunched the numbers. I asked the questions. Well, who saw these things? What were they doing at the time? What month was it? Was it day or night? I asked all these questions, and if that information was in the report, I used that report. And of course, there's some of them that didn't have a lot of information, but the ones that did, I used that and I crunched the numbers, and by far, like 2/3 of the sightings were at night. And I've heard people say these things aren't nocturnal. Yeah, they are, because we're not. We're
Right.
they're moving around when we're not around because they see us as a threat. Of
And
course,
I think
men. What now, Sean?
I think we've talked about it a few times where they don't understand that we can't. They'll hide
Oh
at
yeah,
night
yeah,
because they don't
yeah.
understand that we can't see them in the dark,
Yeah,
but
because
they can
because
see us.
through night vision and thermals, they're hiding at night just like they are in the day.
Yeah.
They don't know that we can't see them. So yeah, you're right, Sean. And by far, men see these things because men are out doing stupid things in the woods and they're hunting and fishing and all of that. And by far, it was that. And I was surprised that either hunting or driving were the two top times where somebody saw one of these things. Well, hunting, you're out in the woods, and
Right.
then driving, you're probably going faster than they can get off the road. You catch them that way, and so all of those things, and I even asked the questions. Well, what do you see? And by far in Arkansas, it is a 7 foot animal that is reddish brown. I thought black would be the most, but it's not. It's reddish brown. Now a lot of people would just say it was dark. Well, dark's not a color. So I didn't use those, but reddish brown, and the footprints are about 14 to 15 inches, and that's really what you're going to see. Uh, in Arkansas. So I have
Right.
all of that in my book. Um, it was just my database. It was just my database, and I decided just to publish my database. And so it's Arkansas Bigfoot, a look at the wild man in the natural state, and
Wow. Okay.
it's on Amazon, or you can get it from me, and I will. If you get it from me, I'll autograph it and draw a cartoon in it for you. So anything like that. I draw a little Bigfoot cartoon in it because I did Sasquatch cartoons for a long time, and I'm getting this republished, but I have a book on Sasquatch cartoons, and
Oh.
it's like a one panel cartoon, like the Far Side. and it's all about Bigfoot and researchers and stuff like that. And man, I can make fun of anybody in the Bigfoot world, and they just love it. So
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
yeah, so yeah, I have, and what I've done is uh, I've drawn the cartoon and it's on one side, and then I've written a commentary on the other. So if you get this, you can kind of laugh and then you can learn at the same time.
Right, right.
So, and I have enough cartoons for three different books, and so I'm reprinting the first one, and I'm going to start doing the others. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
so I've done those two books, and I did the artwork for this children's book. Michael Mays out of Texas wrote this book for his little girls. Their mothers now themselves, and he asked me to do the artwork, and these are all watercolors. But did uh, it's like when they, you know, and like I don't know if you can see that or not, but they're 2-page watercolors with the text on them.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
And
that's
and
pretty neat.
it's called Patty, and it's all about Roger and Bob, and um, you know, there's Roger on his knees with the camera, and Patty's walking away, and so and on the back, in the back of it is a little tutorial about different things. Here's a picture of Jerry Crew that I did, and just different things about the Bigfoot world that kids might be interested in, or parents might be interested in. You know, I don't know if you ever knew that there was a stick in the video where Patty uh, Patty stepped on that stick, and Perez out in California, he found that stick, and so he's used that as a measuring guide and to measure things. And so I think that's pretty cool. So there's some information in the back that could be interesting, but this is all about the Roger Patterson, Bob Gimlin film footage from Patty's point of view. And so
Oh,
it's a kid's book,
that's
and
pretty cool.
yeah, it's on Amazon as well. And so all of those would be on Amazon, or you could get them from me, just whatever. But I'm working on another book about. In fact, I think Sean might be in this book. Um,
Scary.
Uh
it's
oh.
just it's adventures and mishaps and shenanigans that has happened to me in the Bigfoot world. Things that we've tried and failed, and things that, you know, some things scary, some most of it funny. Me and Frankie one time bought underwear offline, in thermal underwear. If you bought a bunch of, you know, a couple of pairs of it, it was free. It was free shipping. So we all bought it, and instead of coming white, it came pre-brown. And so we always talk about wearing our pre-brown underwear in the woods. So.
Then you know the people you don't go sleeping in the same car with.
Yeah. Yeah. But this is a great hobby. You know, I'm not much of a hunter, but I love being in the woods, and I love the chase and figuring things out. And when you do find evidence, you find a footprint or get some good audio recording, that's just amazing. That's just amazing.
Just curiosity, out of all your research and everything, um, have you ever come up with some type of migration for them?
I know I know they move around.
Right.
I don't think that what we see here in Arkansas is going to be seen in Ohio. You know, they're going to stay in the general area, but they have to move because of food source availability.
Right.
And in my book, I asked what months were the most important months. Of course, October, and that's deer season. You know, that's happening there. June and July were high months with for sightings. Well, kids are out of school. You know, people are camping or on vacation or hiking and fishing and stuff
Right.
like that. And then January was really high as well. And I was wondering why January, and it was I think this is my opinion. I think that by the time January rolls around, after November and December, food sources are very scarce, and they're having to go farther afield to find stuff, and they're bumping into us. And so those months are the ones that and I don't know if there's a migration there. I haven't really figured that out, but those are the months that with the peak uh, sightings.
It,
And
Right.
we've kind of looked at like that area where I we around my grandparents' place. There's so
yeah,
much wooded area for so
sure,
many miles that what would have kept it from coming down closer to the house like it did without being seen?
yeah.
Because
Well, when it picked up that cage of guineas
yeah,
and carried it off, it was right there at your house,
yeah,
looking at the window and watching you sleep.
Well, it's also like, my sightings when I had, there was about the time, I grew up on the backside of Blue Mountain Lake,
Hmm.
bottom of Dry Creek Mountain, and it was just and Tater Hill, which is part of the Washita National Forest. And during that period, they were draining Blue Mountain Lake,
Mm.
and that's when I had my period of sightings, and they was all like right in a row, And
Yeah.
one of my sightings happened to be down at the lake. One day I went down there looking for arrowheads, and that's when I had that sighting, and the lake was already getting drained. My theory on that is they smell all the fish and stuff, because they drain Blue Mountain Lake to try and clear out the rough fish and stuff. And a lot of people would go down there and do a fish kill, like
Yeah. Yeah.
shooting carp and buffalo and stuff, and it's
Yeah.
easy food.
Right. Right. Uh, could you guys let me run to the bathroom right quick?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. You guys talk. Sean, you can
You
tell them
bet.
about the guineas.
all right.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, it makes sense, on the migration thing.
Yeah.
Um, Definitely, because all them years on the farm I lived there, that was the only time I had my sightings.
See, we're he's talking about those guineas. That's all when it happened around. All that happened around the same time. That I might have told this story already, but I had the two of them cages. They're about a foot and a half by a foot and a half, whatever size cage, wired together, and I had 10 small guineas in them cages, and I had them on the porch while I went to get stuff to build their coop, and I got back and the cage was not on the carport anymore, and it was in the. I found it in the back corner of the yard under some pine trees, and there was only like 5 guineas left in the cage. The cage was not torn apart. There was no feathers. I might have seen 4 or 5 feathers on the ground, but all the feathers were not. There wasn't a bunch of feathers scattered out like something chowed down right there. You know, it was.
Now, just curiosity, Sean, what time of year did that happen?
It was during the summer.
Well, see, they talk about, Robert was talking about, July and June and stuff being some of the peak months.
But the crazy thing is, we built that coop. I got that coop built for them and everything. We were out there feeding them, and that's when we heard that growl or whatever you want to call it. And it's like, You took my food source and you made it where I couldn't get to them.
Yeah, right. You know, I don't know the sounds that they make. I don't know about yours, but the one I heard, it was such a guttural type sound.
Yes.
So you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
It was loud enough that it rattled your chest.
Yes,
It like the bass and speaker instead of
right.
they
You
call
know,
that the
it's
speaker bass.
yeah, and that's where you run into the whole infrasound thing.
Yeah. Um, we might actually have to start another call on this since I don't have the uh
I think I froze up.
yeah, for a minute y'all I heard you.
Can you still hear me?
I heard that. Um
Yeah, that's weird.
it is. We ain't had that happen before.
I've got real good signal and everything. I don't know why I froze up.
Yeah, I'm sitting right next to my thing. Um we might this this call is actually getting close to being with me, I don't have the unlimited time, so we might start a new call here in just a little bit because we got like 15
Now we
minutes.
both froze up.
Huh.
Yeah, it says it ends in 15 minutes. We still got 15 minutes.
Yeah. We can start another call and keep this going for a little while longer if y'all want to.
Well, I'm back. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
When you get old,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
I'm froze up right now.
we,
Okay.
we were just talking
Well,
about it that with with the unlimited with not having the unlimited call, I might send another invite and start another call so we can keep going a while longer.
whatever you want to do.
So if y'all are good with that, I'm gonna do that real quick and
Okay, well, I'm froze up, so now it'd probably be the time.
yeah,
All
let's go
right.
ahead and do. I'll send y'all another invite here in just a moment.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Sorry guys, I'm getting this up and going. Add people. See. Sorry guys, I'm hurrying. Alright, we're about to be back up and going, everyone. Alright, we're getting back to going. Sorry, I don't have the unlimited Google Meet, so. Sorry about that. I don't have unlimited Google Meet, so.
That's all right.
Uh, there we go. I think we got everybody back again.
I'm back.
I don't see you yet, but uh, I see a circle with a C in it.
Boy,
It's your
I don't know
first
why I'm having so much trouble here.
This is the first
I
time
don't
we've had
know.
trouble out that.
Well, if you're like me, I would just blame Sean. So,
Okay. This is the first time in a long time that I've had to do the invites and all that. So there you
sure.
are.
Well, that's all right. There you are. Okay. All right. So I heard you guys talking about the guinea cage.
Yeah.
Did he has he talked to you about the chicken coop that he built? Big massive chicken coop that the only door on it was the lid. You had to raise it up, and something was lifting that lid up and taking not all of them, but just a couple of chicks at one time. So I think
Yeah.
that was Bigfoot related as well.
Well, I mean, it had to be something with a hand and
Yeah,
fingers.
yeah. If it was a bear or a cat, it would have taken them all.
Right, right.
Yeah. So yeah. I don't know if
Uh,
Sean wanted to hear about that, but I really thought that was both of those are Bigfoot related. And
I'm
then
fine with it.
yeah,
Now, just curiosity, there's been a lot of talk about the Patterson Gimlin stuff lately,
yes,
and a lot of people think it's a fraud now. How do you feel?
I feel that it's a genuine artifact. I've read Bill Munn's book. I've read Long's book about trying to disprove it, but knowing Jeff Meldrum when he was alive and talking to him about it, and Cliff Barrickman, talking about it. My goodness, it's a flesh and blood animal.
I think so too.
Bob Hieronymus, back in '67, he was a skinny beanpole. There was really no way that he could have fleshed out that a suit like that. And we have the footprints, and
Right.
we have different ways, like I was talking about that stick and other things that we can tell how tall it was, and it is. I think it is a real Bigfoot
Now,
there. Now
now,
I know that Patricia Patterson believes and has always believed that it was a real thing. She believes, but her son, I think it's Keith. I'm not quite sure. Don't quote me on that. But he is a rancher in Montana, and the ranch isn't doing very well. In fact, I don't know of any ranch that's doing well. But he may see this as a money grab. They that documentary, they're not giving it out. You have to pay to see it, and
Yeah,
so
I noticed that.
yeah, and so I really think it's kind of a money grab thing, and but I really think it's the real deal. It's not going to shake me. In fact, the very reason why Roger and Bob were there is that Roger was making a documentary about Bigfoot.
Right.
He was doing that, and I think they stumbled on the real thing. What this quote dress rehearsal video that they have in there, it doesn't look anything like Patty. From the
No.
people that have seen it, doesn't look anything like it. And so, why could not this have been one of a recreation? Every Bigfoot documentary that I've ever seen has had recreations of somebody talking about a sighting.
You're
Well,
right.
Roger Patterson would have done that as well. But it is not Patty in that rehearsal by any means. And I
No.
think Patty is the real deal. So,
see that I've seen so many uh, programs where they tried to debunk it and they're like,
oh
there's
yeah,
no way human could fit in a suit and have their joints would not line up.
I,
The-
I was visiting with John Green one time before he passed away. We were up in British Columbia, and I was talking to him, and he said the shoulders prove that it's not a man in a suit. The shoulders are so wide, you would have to pull your arms out of sockets just to get them in to be that wide in a suit. And so that can't work. You see the muscles moving underneath the hair.
Plus the breast.
Yeah, the breast, all of that. In fact, if you look on its thigh as it walks, it swings its arm, and there's a line of hair that goes dark, and then it comes back, and the light of hair is light, and then it's dark and it's light. It's done that for so long, it has altered that hair there, and it changes with that thumb hitting its thigh. So there's just way too many things that are there that they could not have done in 1967.
No, definitely not.
It was before Teflon spandex was ever invented. And so
Right.
you'd have to find a 7-foot, incredibly muscular man, and put arm extensions on him and glue the hair to his muscles. And you're just not going to do that. In fact, two cowboys from, Yakima, Washington, wouldn't have thought of that, and they wouldn't have had the funds to do something like that.
Right. And, top it off, they've had athletes actually try to recreate the steps.
Sure.
And the athletes couldn't even do it.
Yeah. The arms are longer than the legs are. If you put arm extensions on, the elbow is in the wrong place, because you'd have a very short upper arm and a very long lower arm, and that's not what you see there.
Right.
It's just long. Both of them are long. So yeah, I really do think that it's the real deal. But it's sad how people latch on to something like that and run with it.
I know. And a lot of people that do, they've never been out in the woods in their life.
No. Yeah. Well, I've met Bob Gimlin on a number of occasions, and he's always been open and honest with any question that you had, and he never slipped up once. Somebody said that Hieronymus and Patterson's son said, "We're here to tell the truth" at an event, and Bob says, "Yeah, let's tell the truth. Let's tell the truth." He was against what they were going to say. He said, "I'm going to tell the truth." And everybody thinks, "Oh, he was going to come out and he was going to side with them and tell that it was a hoax." But no, that's not what was happening there. In fact, it was so heated that Bob's wife had to intervene and get him away from it. So, yeah. So,
the one thing I don't understand sometimes, and I've heard people talk about it, is, a lot of times you'll see the trackways where they walked, then all of a sudden you don't. A lot of people claim that the tracks just end up disappearing.
Well, that happened. What happened when pioneers were tracking Indians as well? They learned to walk back into their footprints, or jump to the side, or Bigfoot. No telling how far he could jump if he wanted to jump. Could he jump and grab a hold of a branch and swing out?
I guarantee you he could.
Yeah. So I think that Bigfoot is a flesh and blood animal. I don't subscribe to it being a Nephilim from Genesis or a descendant of Esau. They were humans, and I don't think they're from UFOs. I don't think they're from other dimensions. There's nothing in nature that's jumped from dimension to dimension. Why would this one animal have that ability? And we're made in the image of God, and we can't even do something like that. why would you say Bigfoot can go from, or it could turn into a ball of light and live inside a tree? That's just crazy talk to me.
Yes.
The one question I don't know if you remember this, but it was one of the first conferences that you had. It might have been the one that we had at Bologna over there,
Yeah.
where somebody asked if they could be the forbidden gods spoken of.
Oh.
I'm sitting there going,
No,
if they were,
no.
why would they be hiding it like that?
Yeah, there are some denominations that equate Bigfoot and other cryptums as demons. I don't see that either. I think it's a flesh and blood animal. It eats raw meat. It doesn't build permanent houses to live in. It sees in the night. It doesn't wear clothes. It poops in the woods. It sounds like an animal to me. Sounds like an animal, and we just haven't caught up with it and discovered it yet scientifically. So,
What do you think about the concept of orbs and Bigfoot being connected?
if there is if there's any connection at all, and I really have my doubts, it would probably be something happening with ultrasound. Something like that. You might see lights. I know when we were in India, um, uh, we were driving and they were over to it was early morning, and there was like 5 or 6 goats and they were running around in a circle, just running around in a circle. And the driver says, "Oh, tiger, 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 tiger." Because big animals like that can put out infrasound and disrupt their prey. Their prey is confused and you can take them down. Those times when I've been in the woods and I feel, oh, I really need to get out of here. Could that have been infrasound? Yeah, it could have been infrasound. Uh, I don't think it's going to zap you. I've always heard that too. Oh, it zapped me. Well, it doesn't have, unless it's an electric eel, it doesn't have the capability of zapping somebody. I think it could be infrasound, and infrasound could make you think you see something. Infrasound could make those spots, make those things. If there, that would be the only connection that I could see between those two.
No,
It kind of makes sense, several years ago, we had been at the Dover Lights in Dover,
Mm-hmm.
and we had been watching some orbs, and then I don't know, we just started making Bigfoot calls out over the ledge, and we got an answer, and then shortly thereafter, some things started happening. Um, you know, uh, I don't know. It's hard to explain.
I'm the first one to say that we don't know everything out there,
Right.
and if I'm wrong, prove it to me, and I'll be happy to be wrong. But Bigfoot, like everything else on this planet, has to abide by the natural laws God set in place,
You're right.
and I've got to look at it that way. So
That's a good way to look at it. I mean, there's so many theories and so many wild stories out there. It's just crazy.
why try to answer a mystery with another mystery? That doesn't make sense.
That's very true.
Now, Craig will tell you I'm the guy that always comes up. Well, if you look at the Bible, it says this and this occurs. I'm that guy. And unless it comes down to the hollow earth, then I'm all about the hollow earth. But and Craig can tell you I have to bring in the hollow earth at least once per episode.
Yeah, he does quite a bit.
At least it's not flat.
Right. Well, guys, that's about all I have.
Well, I have one more thing. We're going to have a 2026 Arkansas Bigfoot Conference this year. It's going to be at the Eagle's Nest in Valonia. That's a really nice facility there. And it's going to be the first weekend in September.
Oh, wow. I'd like to go to that.
Yeah, so
Craig, we
yeah,
might have to look at talking Richard into going up over there and setting up a booth.
yeah, you could do that. You could do that. We usually have a conference shirt and have. I don't bring people from California and Washington to Arkansas to speak at this conference. What do they know about squatching here? So I always keep it local, or like Tennessee and Oklahoma and Texas and Arkansas, Missouri maybe, and I have people that mainly that I've been out in the woods with, and I respect the way they research. I know they're level-headed, and a lot of times those are my speakers that I have. So.
Well, if you ever need a speaker, I've always wanted to speak at one of them.
All right.
Now, Robert, Craig has had a lot of very interesting sightings.
Yeah, if you ever get a chance, I've got an episode on scripted or sketching encounters with I can't even think of her name now. Labella, but she sketched everything as I
Oh,
told my
really?
story.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big Jim does that as well. He'll take witnesses and he'll sketch like a police profiler.
Right.
He'll sketch those out, and he's really good at that too. So.
But yeah, if you ever need a speaker, I've always wanted to do it. Just get my stories out there.
Yeah. All right.
And the good thing about this show, we've got of course around romance over here. Then Craig's over around Dardanelle. Then Richard's over in Oklahoma. So we kind of span that area there to.
Cool. Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah. You got the wash stalls covered.
Yes, sir. We're trying. We're hoping to make more trips out in the woods this year.
Yeah. Well, when and if we have something come up, I'll contact Sean, and you guys are more than welcome to come.
Oh, that'd be
Be
great.
part of it. So just
Yes,
bring your
sir.
own food. I don't share my food with anybody. So
All righty.
if you're the new guy in the group, we rub peanut butter all over you and make you run through the woods. So try to bring something in.
Just as long as I can run faster than the bear.
That's right. Well, I appreciate this very much for.
Oh yeah, this was very interesting. We appreciate you.
I've got a gift to gab, so if you ever need me again, just let me know because I'd love to be on again. So
all righty,
and make Sean mind if you would, please.
That's a full-time job right there.
I know.
Now, we're posting this one. This one's going to be on the Supernatural Roundtable. I'm going to get it sent over to Richard to do his editing stuff, but I will have it up on the Talking Paranormal for now.
Yeah.
But Crystal and I will have you on sometime for all.
All right.
So.
Okay. All right.
And like to say thank you to all of our subscribers and like and share and help us make our show bigger.
Sounds
I
great.
think we're doing pretty good at 4,000 subscribers.
Wow, 4,000. Wow. Yeah.
But,
I didn't know Sean could count that high.
Well, thank you for being here, Robert, and we appreciate you.
All right, you're most welcome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right,
y'all have a good one.